Okay, welcome everyone. We're just gonna be waiting for a few minutes, maybe a couple minutes until 6:02 until everyone can join, and we'll start very soon.
All right.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for joining, and welcome to the 7 bottlenecks slowing down oral surgery practices. My name is Bruno Bregnoles, and I'm the demand generation specialist here at DSN. And today I've also got Isaac Shapot, our senior director of growth at DSN. We're gonna keep this really tight, 22 minutes, very quick and short, no demo. So yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, and a few just quick housekeeping items. If you miss anything or want to share this, we will be sending out a recording, so no need to worry about that. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We will leave time at the end for questions, and if it makes sense, we'll also just answer them as we go. Um, cool. Again, this is going to be a short session. We're going to aim for 22 minutes. Bruno and I timed ourselves. We were right below that, so we should be good. Um, Yeah. All right. So first, we'll talk about where this data comes from. Then we'll jump into the 7 bottlenecks, talk about what the top performing practices do differently, and then end with a Q&A. Once again, it's supposed to be super educational, fast, and yeah, again, thank you for your time. So where does this data come from? So DSN works with over 1,000 specialty dental practices, and we've been around since the 70s. And when you work with so many practices over so many years, the same patterns keep showing up. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Worth noting that these practices are relatively consistent across single locations, multi-locations, and even DSO practices. Um, I know that was fairly interesting to Bruno and me. We're going to talk about 7 stages of oral surgery workflows from the initial referral to the final payment. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the top quartile of practices and what they do differently and better than the rest. So, with all that being said, Bruno, you can take it away with bottleneck number one.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. So yeah, bottleneck number one is referral leakage. And we put it in first place because this is the one that almost no one is tracking. And that's exactly why it's costing them. The average practice usually loses on around 18% of inbound referrals before they ever get scheduled. The referral comes in, gets logged somewhere, and then it just falls through. There's no automated follow-ups, there's no closed loop back to the referring doctor, and when the front desk remembers to actually chase it down, they have to do it manually. And the fix is not complicated. It's just about setting up automated follow-ups within 24 hours, having centralized tracking, and just having a way to close the loop with the referring provider so they actually know the patient was seen.
Yeah, and quick plug for DSN. DSN does make closing that loop really fast. We did a webinar fairly recently about going from chart to referral letter in less than 30 seconds. So plug for DSN. Um, Bottleneck number two, scheduling friction. And the big thing we found from talking to our customers is that 1 in 4 no-shows are fully preventable, primarily through reminders. Um, I think it's no secret that at any given oral surgery practice, scheduling is just a huge piece of friction. Um, and underneath that friction is usually a communication problem. So oftentimes intake forms are being sent the day of or not at all. Patient shows up, Patients show up not knowing what to expect, or they haven't filled out any intake forms. Their appointment starts 20 minutes late, and that sort of creates a snowball effect for the rest of the patients who are scheduled to come in that day. Um, Again, when it comes to the fix here, automated reminders is the easiest fix, both 48 hours out and then 24 hours out. And then digital intake forms should be sent the day of, or the day before, but they should be complete at least the day of, so that the patient can come in and sort of roll right into their appointments. And this in turn makes it so your schedule actually reflects your clinical capacity.
Okay, bottleneck number three is the one regarding imaging and chart chaos. And this one is another one that's pretty much invisible because it kind of happens before the surgeon walks inside the room. Their staff is just spending an average of around 8 minutes of prep time per patient, just trying to pull everything together. So they're trying to get imaging from one system, charting from another. They're trying to log into both, and then that everything just gets all delayed. And if you calculate, for instance, 20 patients, around 20 patients per day, that's almost 2.5 hours of staff time just spent on pre-op setup, and it's just gone like that. And the fix that we came up with is just good integration. You have one login, the imaging lives in the chart, everything is ready before the patient even hits the chair. And all the practices that we've seen with a fully integrated system, they get that time back really easily. And the surgeons are always walking in prepared, not catching up to anything. So they, as soon as they get in the room, they're good to go.
Yeah, you also only have to remember one login. Super helpful. Bottleneck number four is a clinical documentation drag. And this is the silent time thief for surgeons. And what it actually looks like is surgeons spending a bunch of time after they see a patient writing their notes, either in the office or even when they get home at night. Um, there are a couple of root causes here. The main one we focus on is generic templates that are not built for oral surgery. And this is simply because a lot of practice management systems that surgeons are using were not made for their tailored workflows. And they have to create complicated workarounds to have them fit what the surgeon actually does. Um, there are a few fixes here. I should say two fixes here. One uh, is workflows and a chart that's actually built for oral surgery. And DSN certainly has those. Things like wisdom tooth removal are built automatically into the software. So you can really quickly just enter in a few custom fields and build that note out for a patient. DSN also offers AI assisted notes where a surgeon can just speak into a microphone and we'll take what they say and structure that into a perfectly executed note that a surgeon can just sign right when the patient theoretically is in their chair and get this 45 minutes back. All right. Bruno, number five.
So number five is on insurance and billing. And what we've noticed is that we've seen practices sitting at around 62 days in accounts receivable. And it's usually, what we've noticed is that's not usually a production problem. It's more of a systems problem. The client's eligibility isn't verified early, claims go out without proper checks, and that's it. Like they did just miss it up on all of the accounts receivable process. And the eligibility, if it was verified automatically before the appointment and claims are also scrubbed in real time, all the denials can get flagged fast and it's easy to rework them within 48 hours. So that just helps keep revenue moving. So just creating shorter accounts receivable time, fewer headaches for your team, just having healthier cash flow as well.
For sure. Number six is patient payments. And the unfortunate stat we hear from our customers or potential customers is that 30% of patient balances are never collected. Um, this happens for many reasons, but we think it's less of a patient behavior problem and more of a process problem. Um, a lot of times the conversation about payments is just done really inconsistently from person to person in your office, and there's no digital follow-up, which, inconsistency begets poor performance, unfortunately, when it comes to these payments. Um, Additionally, if we make it hard for patients to pay, they're just going to do so less. If they have to call in, wait on hold, they can't do so easily online, they're just not going to pay nearly as much. So the fix here, a couple things. One, giving patients options for payments, things like patient plans online, over the phone, basically meet patients where they are when it comes to payments. That's one thing. Two, auto follow-up. So 7 days after, a month after, honestly, until you get an answer, is really important. And then lastly, digital payments, ideally with a patient portal. Um, DSN is building this out right now. We have a number of clients who are in beta for our DSN Pay and patient portal. So we're super excited to bring that to the market in the next month or so. And another thing that's just important noting here is payments should live in the patient chart. So when you pull up a chart, not only are you seeing electronic records, communications, but you're also seeing payment balances and what they owe.
Next one, and we left that one for last because in some ways it can be the most dangerous one, which is reporting on blind spots. Um, it just is the most important, I would say, because it lets all of the other six hide if you don't have good visibility and good reporting. And most practice admins, practice owners, usually when they look at the reports, it's 30 days old, 60 days old. And they're all being pulled manually from two, three, or even four different systems. So that ends up covering maybe 50 or 60% of what's actually happening operationally in their practices. And the thing is, you can't fix what you can see, right? So practices that differentiate themselves, they usually have a one real-time dashboard. It covers production, collections, referral sources, scheduling utilization. All of that is pulled together into one easy to see dashboard that has all of data ownership assigned to specific people responsible for taking care of all the reports. And when the problems surface, they surface in week one. It doesn't take 3 months or 6 months to be caught up, right? And yeah, those were all seven. Next slide, Isaac.
Yeah, so I can cover this one. Um, so when it comes to these seven bottlenecks, what do the top performing practices do differently to sort of solve these? Number one is they have one system. We touched on this before, but they're not logging into five different tools. Everything to run your practice is in one place, from scheduling to patient reminders to insurance to payments. That should live in one place that everyone in the practice is trained on, is hopefully easy to use, that you only have to remember one login for. Related to that, and another DSN plug is OMS built software. Think notes that are structured for oral surgeons, capabilities that make insurance billing for both medical and dental easier, etc. You shouldn't be working around your software. Your software should be making your job as an oral surgeon or practice administrator easier. Another thing that these practices are doing differently is monthly reviews. So oral surgeons go to school for a really long time to become really good at oral surgery. They don't go to school to get an MBA or in business. And that makes reporting so important. As Bruno was just touching on in bottleneck number seven, um, building out these reporting dashboards, figuring out what's most important to you from a reporting perspective is going to be very vital to practice growth. And DSN, I know we invest a lot in these reporting capabilities, so practices can have a real-time look into what's going well and what's not going well. Lastly, practices that perform well have really clear ownership over every area of operations. So who's responsible for making sure billing is smooth? Who's responsible for collecting payments and insurance? All of those things have one main owner. And of course, everyone communicates clearly about who's owning what and why.
Hey, that was actually not 22 minutes, about 13 minutes. So you guys are gonna get some time back today. But lastly, just what we wanted to cover is if any of those seven hit close to home, it's not actually a problem. Well, it is a problem, but it's that's also good news because then you're not dealing with a mystery. you know that you're dealing with a solvable problem. And we're offering you guys all a free operation audit. So if you want one, you want to just learn more about our software and see how you can solve these bottlenecks by with through DSN, you can book a demo or a quick operational audit now on our website. And we'll look at where your practice is sitting across all of those 7 bottlenecks. We'll give you a quick, straight read on what you should prioritize. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's no pitch. You just come in and we'll do a quick operational audit for you.
Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I do see a couple here that we can answer. Um, Here, Bruno, this is one for you. Um, we're constantly squeezing emergencies into the schedule. How do practices handle that without messing up their whole day?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, most successful on-mass practices, they intentionally leave a small emergency buffer each day. So if you schedule every minute of the day, emergencies always cause chaos, right? So a lot of offices, they usually keep one shorter procedure slot open in the afternoon just for last minute cases.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, Isaac, got one for you. How long does it typically take to see results after addressing one of these bottlenecks?
So it really depends on the bottleneck. So like patient reminders, for the most part, like immediately when you start putting in patient reminders, you should start to see benefits. The question is, making sure you can implement those reminders in an easy way, and then it really comes down to the software you're using. Um, Other things certainly take longer. Like if you have 5 different systems and imaging lives in a separate place than scheduling, it's going to take longer to get all those things together. So it really depends. Um, it really depends. I see um, one more question, Bruno.
Mhm.
Our team feels constantly busy, but we're not sure if we're efficient. How should we start measuring that?
You can measure that by using a few metrics, just to help clarify it. And you can use things like production per day, case acceptance rate, maybe even claim turnaround time. Those can show some of where the bottlenecks are. And if those numbers are low or slow, there's usually a workflow issue somewhere.
Got it. Cool. All right, so we'll end this here at 19 past. So 3 minutes, less than 22 minutes. Again, any questions, feel free to reach out to us. DSN.com is going to be the easiest way. And thank you for your time this evening. And thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye.